From Volusia to Chico, Williams Grove to Knoxville, and all dirt tracks in between and beyond. This is Winged Nation. 1 full hour of news and interviews with today's top dirt drivers. Now, your award-winning hosts, Steve Post and Kendra Jacobs.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome in. It is Winged Nation on MRN.com, talking sprint car racing, our favorite day of the year or day of the week. And we are glad you joined us here. Great program for you. Brian Carter, the CEO of the World Racing Group, the World of Outlaws, joins us. We kind of wrap up every year doing this. It's become an annual thing, and we love it. Getting a chance to kind of pick his brain, see what the plans are, see how 2015 went, and we'll go forward from there. Kendra Jacobs and Steve Post here. And Kendra, we wrapped it up with a home game this past weekend, the World Finals here at Charlotte. A new winner and a really cool story on Sunday night with Joey Saldana. Went some great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy weekend, and kudos to everyone who worked so hard to get both races in. Mother Nature was not cooperating, but we got two great nights of racing in. Very cool to see Dusty Zomer in Victory Lane on Friday night. First time at the track, gets his first World of Outlaws win. And then on Sunday night, as you alluded to, Joey Saldana picks up the big win, his last win for Modern Motorsports.
Yeah, indeed. Really cool. You know, Dusty Zomer, the third new winner this season, and I think this speaks for the history, the health of 410 sprint car racing. That race team, and face it, that Buffalo Wild Wing team over the last 3 years, they've had a lot of drivers. But Dusty Zomer has been in the car for over a year. Mm-hmm. This combination has worked. He's been out. He's won a bunch of races, won some NSL races, won a track championship, and he scored that holy grail on Friday night, the World of Outlaw win. Third new winner this year, it's an interesting group of new winners with Dusty, with Stuart Friesen, and with Greg Wilson.
Yeah, it was a great year. I mean, we talked about it, or a couple of the owners talked about it at the banquet. It was a hard year to win a World of Outlaws race because Donnie swept so many of them that having different winners was a hard feat to do. But to have three new winners, that was great.
Absolutely. So good stuff. Hey, all the way out west, the King of the West Series, the season finale. Jonathan Allard picked up the win at Stockton over Carson Macedo, Mitchell Fasanito. Allard, it was his first win of the year, but Kendra, he has won a race every year since 2005 in the series. So Jonathan Allard, and new champion there, Carson Macedo, 19-year-old. We talk about the kids in California. Carson Macedo, the new champion out there.
Yeah, I think it came down to the feature event that night between he and Bud Katie. I think 3 points separation.
Yeah, and he
going
finished
into the
second,
night.
and Bud, I think, finished fourth.
Yeah, Bud had an issue, mechanical issue in his heat race, and had to go through the B. So it was an interesting night. Congratulations to Carson.
Absolutely great stuff. That's your Valco Racing Wheels results page. Valco Racing Wheels, made by racers for racers. More information at VAHLCO.com. That's Valco, VAHLCO.com. We're going to step away. We're going to bring Brian Carter into the conversation and start our chat with him in just a moment. Stay with us, everyone.
This is Winged Nation on MRN.com. Steve and Kendra will be right back.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon or Trico Force wiper blades during O'Reilly Auto Parts See Better, Drive Safer sale. Plus, get a $20 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. See better with Bosch Icon or Trico Force at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The American Sprint Car Series returns for its 24th year. Over 150 events across national and regional schedules, 56 cities, 16 states, and some of the sport's best like Herrera, Swindell, Hafertepe, and Reitzel, along with the next generation of stars. See the full lineup of events at ASCSRacing.com. Get updates on Facebook and Twitter, and catch every Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour event live on RacingBoys.com.
Racers, that's who Valco Wheels are. That's who they know, and racing is what they know. Valco Wheels focuses oval track and grassroots racing, and understand racers need a quality wheel that fits your budget. With over 25 years experience, Valco Wheels produces the best product and give you face-to-face support and customer service at the track. Fast delivery, innovative products, problem solving. Find Valco Wheels at Valco.com on Twitter or Facebook, or call Valco Wheels at 609-758-7013. Valco Wheels.
I'm Danny Holcraver, now back to Wing Nation with Steve and Kendra.
Thank you, Danny. Welcome back, everyone. Having a great time here. Kendra Jacobs and Steve Post. And traditionally, over the last couple of years, we have ended our season with our guest that we have with us. He is the CEO of the World Racing Group, World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, World of Outlaw Late Models, Super Dirt Series Modifieds, UMP Tours. Brian Carter joins us. Hello, Brian. Welcome back.
Glad to be here, Stephen Kendra.
We have enjoyed wrapping the season up because I think what the neat part about it is the World of Outlaws is kind of, I've always described it to non-sprint car fans, kind of the umbrella series. We know it's the biggest name. It's where every driver wants to go. But I think the reason that it really makes sense for us to talk to you is because you see what's going on in California, and you see what's going on in Pennsylvania, and you see what's going on in the Midwest and Ohio and everything. And so with what you're seeing with 2015, with 410 sprint car racing, what are you seeing and what's your take on it?
I'm excited. That's what I am. I'm excited about sprint car racing for 15 and beyond. It's really been a good year. It was a year of Donnie Schatz. I mean, he did extraordinary things. Last year when he won 26 some odd races, you thought, who can do that again? And then he pulls off 31. You know, and like the guy said, it's hard to win a race here, but we still had 22 different winners into a weather window too. That Mother Nature took 11, so it was a hard year to win. But it was for sprint car racing across the country. From California to Pennsylvania down, it's just extraordinary to see it back to where it needs to be on the right path.
One of the things I love, you're a numbers geek, okay? Yeah, and you come in and say there was...
Can't deny that. No.
Can't deny this, and I respect that, and I love it because I think that's due diligence and knowing what's going on in the business. What are just some of the numbers that kind of step out to you as far as this season, overall sprint car racing?
Well, our car counts are back up again. We're up at 35 average car count now. 35, which is great. That four-car heat program is good. We were... good across the country. We had 22 different winners. Schatz winning 31. That's really amazing to see. But a lot of guys leading laps. You guys mentioned the strength of California. When you look at where we had 410 registered sprint cars race with us. 400 again. So that's Pennsylvania leads the tour really from additional cars. Ohio second, and California is a really, really close third. So you think about our schedule and how many weeks we spend out in California. It's because sprint car racing is important to the people in California too. So it really is an interesting dynamic when you see the way the tour moves around, and we really have settled in. Usually I have a really exciting. We've been adding weekends here and there, but the weekends have now kind of settled in. And I've got a couple of things, we've planned for 16. We're going to add that weekend back in June in Knoxville and spend a 2-day show there like we had in the past, and really start to build that destination in June for them. So I'm excited. It's it's not a massive amount of growth, but it's nice, steady growth, and that's what we've seen over the last couple of years. It really is starting to show some the impact we're having.
Looking at next year's schedule, which has not been released yet, but you say you're working on it, there's things coming together. Do you feel like there's still a lot of attention on the series and a lot of new tracks that might want to be getting a date next year?
We have 90 dates on the schedule for next year, so we'll be right around the same sweet spot. It's hard to race any more than that. We're going to be leaving. We'll be going to Oswego, so we're leaving the other Canadian tracks off this year. So we've got a few places to fill in and a couple of new racetracks. At any particular point, we have 12 or 15 racetracks that want races that can't get them because it just doesn't work into the calendar or the tour. So the backlog of what I would call backlog of racetracks wanting sprint car dates is deep, and that's what we need. We want people wanting races, and the good thing is that the calendar sort of sets itself. Carlton and Tom bust their tail to try to get the calendar to work out where it's as good for everybody as it can be and still meet the needs of the race fans and tracks and try to get them in the calendar. And that's a tough feat when you think about just the sprint cars. Then you start taking in another couple series with the Summer Nationals or the late the World of Outlaw late models. And you can't have World of Outlaws and World of Outlaws in the same marketplace. So you kind of, it's really juggling a lot of different dates beyond the 90 we're trying to manage for the sprint cars. So it is a difficult and daunting task, but it's also easy when people want. Yeah.
You mentioned looking at 2015. We seem like 2013 and 2014 were pretty blessed as far as the weather goes. 2015, and you and I were kind of joking around yesterday, and you said you wish you could spread out and we went like 2013. What do we have, like two rainouts?
We raced last year. We completed 91 shows. This year, in 2015, we completed 78, and we had 14 that were weather impacted, and we were able to reschedule 3. That's how demanding our schedule is. You think we'll rain it out, we'll come back to them next week. No. Of the 14 we lost, we could only figure out how to get back to 3 of them, and those are really challenging because generally those are falling back into you're into October, September. and you're trying to compete against college football and high school football and different weather patterns. And there's a reason why we're in different places of the country at different times of the year. I mean, it's hard to do, and generally those don't, they're not near as good for the racers or for the racetrack when you come back and do those.
And we saw a race last year with Brad Sweet promoting out in California. Is that on the plans again, or are there other drivers that are maybe showing an interest in promoting races?
I think it's really good for the sport to see. It's actually very enlightening for them to see the promoting side too. I think they get an idea a little bit, maybe a little better understanding or awareness of what it takes to promote. Colton Grouse is a great example. Going to go promote Susquehanna. I mean, that's good for the sport because it takes a balance of all of the needs of the racers and the fans and the sanctioning body and the tracks to try to make this work. And when you find that balance, I think is when you really start to feel the momentum build, because nobody's getting left behind. And I think that's what we found over the last 3 or 4 years, is figuring out that balance. And as a balanced group working together, we can push this thing forward. And we've talked about that for years here at the end of the season and try to figure out how to continue to make that balance. But, I think it's very enlightening. Delansky's promoted shows. Casey, obviously Tony is heavily involved in the promotion business at Eldora. And it really is interesting to watch them grow as entertainers along with racers. And that's what they have to become. They have to be, you really become, you're in the entertainment business. And as they expand their role, it's interesting to watch them grow that way.
Really is. It's fascinating to watch. And I know Brad has talked about it a couple of times, the challenges of it. And but the rewards when the show comes off and you've got an ownership in it. So really, really cool. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges of the World Finals. We just come off from this. And I almost sensed yesterday, we all want sunny, 75, perfect conditions, no wind, perfect track, everything. I almost
Don't be
sensed,
demanding or anything.
No. But I almost sensed in talking with you a significant amount of pride in all of the crap that you were dealt Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that Sunday you guys were able to pull off a good show on a track the guys could race on. I almost sensed a lot of pride in that. Was there a lot of pride in that?
Well, from a leadership perspective, your whole goal is to build a team that can take on any challenges that are set before them, give them the resources to do that, and then let them run and do that, and to step back and watch it. I mean, people don't realize the guys sealed the track up at noon on Sunday the week before, and they didn't get to touch it. Couldn't get a piece of equipment on it until 1 p.m. on Thursday.
Oh, my God.
So all of the prep work, now that's all the great part that I feel a great bit of pride and responsibility really to that event is we were prepared for that. We had the resources on site. We have a great relationship with Charlotte. They have an incredible facility. And because of that partnership, we were able to do all that prep work so that we could actually avoid something that might have been catastrophic to another racetrack. So there was a great deal of pride. When you look at what we did on, Thursday, we were behind. It was still raining when we started working, misting and rest when we started working on that racetrack on Thursday, and we're able to do it. And Thursday, and when you're looking at the forecast on Tuesday and Wednesday, okay, we're going to get Thursday and Friday in, and then Saturday's going to be ugly, and we have a sunny day on Sunday. So it's not, we're looking at that Sunday forecast, thinking that's going to be okay, but none of it played out.
No.
4 out of the 5 days forecasts were absolutely wrong. So, absolutely wrong. It never really stopped raining on Friday when we were on the racetrack, when we were 2.5 hours behind. And if we didn't try on Friday, we were really in trouble for the entire weekend. So we put our team on it, and the guys did an incredible yeoman's job trying to get that place where you could even race on it. And on top of that, in all the 10 years I've been watching we've never had the welder out. And we get the welder out twice to put in the racetrack, the fence back together. So just like a stacking on of things. And then, Saturday we kind of knew what we were up against. The hard part for the fans is they didn't really realize we stopped racing at 3:07 on Saturday morning.
Right.
And it started raining at 5. So we really didn't have 5 hours to take and turn the track over like the guys would normally do. A lot of people miss out on that fact that they work all night just to get the track ready to go, to get ready for the next day, and we didn't get a chance to do that. So we were at least 2.5 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours behind on what we were steering at Saturday, and then really we're afraid that we really couldn't do another 12-hour race program. When you look at Sunday's calendar, we went hot lapping at 1:30 and we were done at 7:30, 6 hours, and it was a glorious day of racing. The event itself, racing-wise, really only had one, what I would call, delay for about 20 minutes to fix the fence again. These guys are getting so high speed and just tearing up stuff. But it was a glorious day of racing, and to have that 6 hours done, threading the window, and it start raining an hour later, we really did thread the needle. I mean, to get that done, it was just absolutely, it was a tough weekend, but we pulled it off, and there's a great deal of pride. And then you can only do that by having the proper amount of planning and prep work, a good facility, great teamwork, and everybody working together to pull it off. And that's what I'm most proud of, is being able to be a part of that team.
Something else that got to be big news over the last week or two was silly season, so to speak, with some teams and the World Racing Group and World of Outlaws. Is Mater's team announces it without a sponsor they can't continue, which moves Joey to Roth, which brings a new car back onto the series. Paul moves to Destiny. Gravel moves to 51, or now 5 to keep that car on. How much, when stuff like that starts to happen in your series, how much does that concern you guys in the office? Do you talk about, we need these cars to stay on the tour, how can we help them stay out there? How much of that is a concern for you all?
Well, first off, it's nice to be a spectator in silly season. For a lot of time, we were actually, the people like to make that up around us, but I'd say that with a little bit of levity. But I do feel for these, that's 100% of our time is trying to figure out this balance for the team. So it's not something new. So we're, we talk with them on what they need for the series. We meet with them. This past year, we met with them at the beginning of the year. We met with them in Vegas. We met with them in Knoxville. These are organized, all teams, all hands on deck to talk about what they need and what the series, how we can make it better for everybody. So we're all balancing that. And the beauty of it, where the series is it really does provide the ability for 10 to 15, 17 teams to make a living at this. This year was tough. I mean, when you take out the wins, the 31 wins, and the rest that Mother Nature took, it was hard to get a win, and that has a financial impact on the team. So it was a little bit different dynamic at the end of this season. There was quite a bit of shuffling, and you keep your eye on that, and then you do the best, but you've got to do it for a group of teams, and those teams are going to come and go, and you just kind of have to plan on that. But Dan said it great. It's a racing family, and you're looking out for everybody that you can and doing everything you can to help everybody. And it's tough to watch them come and go, but that all in a matter of about a half an hour. Yesterday during the banquet, it seemed like it sort of sorted out. It was kind of crazy.
So, and the music stopped and everyone had a seat.
It was really interesting how it all worked out. And I think it was Chris Dolak that said, these are how fast these guys are. Silly season lasted all of about 12 hours.
Exactly, We get it done in Aquarian Sprint Car Racing. Hey, we need to step away. This segment of the show was brought by Classic Ink Screen Printing and Embroidery. More than just hats and T-shirts, they have got everything from hoodies, towels, glitter, ink, golf balls. They do all the shirts and hats and everything from more than just racing as well. You can find out more. Contact Brian up at Classic Ink USA, classicinkusa.com. More with Brian Carter in just a moment.
I'm Kerry Madsen, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
A rough-running engine could be suffering from buildup of fuel and oil deposits, but O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Clean out engine buildup and improve fuel economy with Seafoam Motor Treatment. On sale for $7.99 each at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The new standard in race car screen printing and embroidery, Classic Ink USA. Full custom race car track swag apparel, quality customer service, and the industry's finest graphic designers, assuring quick turnaround and the highest customer satisfaction. See the latest designs at classicinkusa.com, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, or call us 724-482-6224. Serving racers and their teams, all divisions, all over the world. Classic Ink USA, at the track and on your back.
Back to Winged Nation. Here's Steve and Kendra.
Welcome back, everyone. Having a great time. Great conversation with Brian Carter, the CEO of the World Racing Group. We love being on Twitter. We're on there at Wing Nation. And when we're done with this show and all the shows this week, we'll be on there all off season long. So follow along with us. Kendra tweeted out around 90 dates, only one Canadian race leaves some opportunities for new tracks to get on. Our friend Braden McMahon, at first I was like, oh, man, that's my only trip where I get to go into a bar. But then he remembered he'll be 21
I
next
love
season.
Braden's thinking,
He'll
man.
be 21 next season.
Oh, well, he can go to bars in 90 different areas.
See, it's all the things that Brian has to juggle, making sure that Braden McMahon
I mean, we
is,
have to make sure the schedule works and that Braden McMahon can go to the bar.
Absolutely.
Everything's
Osh
good.
Weekend. You still go to Osh Weekend.
There we go. There we go. Brian, you mentioned the 10 to 15 to 17 World of Outlaw cars, but you mentioned 400 drivers competing you. What's it like balancing the needs of your guys versus the needs of the guys that race with you once a year versus the needs of the guys that race with you 25 or 30 times a year? How do you balance and juggle all of that?
Well, that's where it really is important for us to have great relationships and communication with the racetracks that support those classes on a weekly basis. And, the good thing for the sport, and we really hadn't had a chance to talk about it, but with the regional series strengthening and with NSL and the All-Stars with Tony's involvement, those are really a critical part of the backbone of sprint car racing in the country. And those really do help the long term. And I think I even commented on it last year. This is going to be great for sprint car racing as you grow those regional programs. You allow us to come in and really, have that college rivalry that we talked about in Pennsylvania in the past. But it's really, really good. And for us, we have to balance those needs because our teams, they're on the cutting edge of technology and they're always chasing horsepower. But when you listen to them, and we met with them for 2 hours in Charlotte here, they even our fast teams, Ricky Warner and the guys from KKR, they really do are aware of the needs of sprint car racing across the country. They want, we talk about tires. It's not just about tires for us. It's about what tires do we need for the rest of the country so that we can race on them, or the durability and the repeatability of the tires, from rules packages and the rest. So it's definitely a hard balance because our guys, we have 13 full-time drivers, but but we're seeing 400, and those guys are racing every week somewhere, and it's a difficult balance. And that's really where the strength for World Racing Group and for the World of Outlaws is that we have everybody's got a different perspective. We have a pretty broad perspective with our dirt car touring program, with our dirt car weekly programs too. So we really, it's not as much we're managing it on the World of Outlaws, but we have relationships with those racetracks from a weekly basis too. So it's sort of a balance of the needs of the many against the needs of the elite, and our World of Outlaw sprint car guys are definitely at the cream of the crop. Same thing when you look at the World Finals. We had 86 Outlaw late model drivers and 45 big block drivers. I mean, when you take those into consideration with the 58 sprint car drivers, we're seeing the elite at this event, but it's because of the strength of the weekly programs and the regional programs and the other touring series.
When you look at that, tires have been a big issue this year, and teams talk about tires, and we talk about competitiveness plus cost effectiveness. Where do we stand on tires right now? It sounds like that was a big part of the discussion this week in Charlotte with the teams.
It was, and we're last year we addressed some of that. We added in a tire to see if it would work, and it was at the request of the teams to figure out, hey, can we get better racing for us so that we can race during the program and provide a better show for the race fans? And we modified that a little bit last year, and we learned that didn't work. So we're going to make a little adjustment to taking the additional tire we put in there, take it back out, and we're working with Hoosier to try to develop a tire that helps the car maybe be a little more predictable in some places. And so we're working through that through this off season. We'll have to. We think we're always looking at it. And it is definitely always a topic, and especially some of the dynamics we threw in earlier, and several years ago with bringing in Goodyear and getting some of that, and people complained about that, but it ended up being pretty good racing. And the key now is to figure out how do we take, because the cars have even changed so much from 3 years ago or 5 years ago. Yeah. You've really got to match that technology up with the tire. And it doesn't mean the fastest, but you still have to deal with all the forces that the tire has to take and apply to the racetrack. And that's really where we probably have a little bit more work to do.
I love chatting and talking about tires, talking about the cost of racing, talking about these things. I've noticed something about racers, okay? You ask them where the costs are the problem, and they say engine costs. And then they go and quote what everyone else, except for them, are paying for engines. Well, this guy's paying this. Well, this guy's paying this, and you're sitting there with a 410 under the hood of your car. Engine cost is one of the first things that come up anytime you talk to anybody. But as a sanctioning body, particularly with your group, but then knowing all the regions and everything, are there things that can be done to manage this, and how would this be managed if potentially it could be?
Well, our approach for the engine costs is we several years ago, we tightened the box down on what the engine could, the rules package, and we haven't changed it. And that's really been for the key for us. Hey, this is the rules package. Now there's some other sanctioning bodies that are moving their engine rules around, and that really is hard to manage. So we've had conversations with other engine builders and other manufacturers that want to bring their technology in, but it doesn't fit inside of our box. And we're really pretty happy with the 410 rules itself.
Yep.
Our sport can't afford to be on the bleeding edge of the technology piece as it relates to some of the stuff they've introduced here in town. And we're really kind of waiting for that to develop and really create that secondary market. And maybe there's a chance for that, but it's not in the near future. It's a lot farther out from our perspective, and it's just managing the rest of the car to match it, and that's the hardest part.
When you look at other series, the NSL obviously came in last year. Tony purchasing the All-Stars changed some of the stuff they do, some new rules and formats there. How much do you look at all of those series you race with and pull drivers from, or some track rules of some places you go to, and work with those tracks or series so that it's more inclusive with everyone?
Well, we don't look at it. We work hand in hand with those guys. I mean, we talk with the guys, with Jarrett and the guys, and Tony and with Todd and his competition crew. I mean, it's important that we all are on the same page because we're all drawing from the same 400 race car drivers and teams. So, it's not we're watching and we're working with them. I mean, that's really the best way to put it. So it's critical to the success and the continued growth of the sport. So you'll see us when we'll be working side by side on those things and trying to make that happen together. That's the only way we can do it. When we were fragmented and not working together, the sport sort of plateaued, and it's really hard to get it moving again. And now we've got everybody sort of together. It's easy. It's a lot easier to move it, at least maintain it and then move it forward.
How much during the, and I know part of this is none of our business, but how would you address over the course of the season? Are you guys, your people, I mean, we show up at Eldora, we show up at Williams Grove, we show up out in California, but is there a pretty good open communication among all the entities, the bodies, the John McCoys of the world, the folks of the world? How much during the course of the season, because we're all busy, is there still a lot of pretty good discourse between everyone?
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Carlton and Tom, they're talking every day, not every day, but, when it's important, they're talking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody wanders off and to do their thing, and they're all very, very busy. In the summertime, you get crazy, but it's actually crazier right now trying to set the schedule, look at what we need to change beyond the travel. It really is open dialogue. You have to have the open dialogue with the guys in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and as we expand the sprint car racing to the weekly programs, it's gonna have to be even more robust, the communication.
Well, we're going to get to some of the tough questions because we have Twitter, and once you open it to the fans, you never know what's going to come out. But some of the tough stuff, where we stand with a series title sponsor at this moment.
We are very close to something that's extraordinary for the sport.
That's awesome.
It's going to, we've sort of been in this cycle where we're on 3 years off a year, on 3 years off a year, so it's a hard cycle. It's a great cycle when you're in those 3 years. But the problem is that the customers, the notice time to the renewal time is just a little bit hard to manage, and we're talking about significant financial commitments to sponsor the series. So we're real excited. We've got 2 or 3 really good prospects on the titles, and I hate to say certain, but I'm pretty excited about the opportunities for 16. What I'm most pleased about is that we didn't have a title in 15. We rained out 14 races, and we are standing strong. And that's really been what my goal from an organizational perspective is to create the stability for the sport so that we're not like some of the businesses here in town that were reliant upon a title sponsor, and when they didn't have it, bad things happened. And that's really was my goal, is to keep the stability of the sport, the operationals, again, back to the balance of all of the teams and the fans and the racetracks and the World of Outlaws, so that we didn't have something bad happen if we lost a big title sponsor. And that was really been my goal for the last 10 years, and we were there.
You've mentioned a couple of times in our conversation the regional series, the weekly series, and I know there's a spec World of Outlaw type car, I guess, that or sprint car type out there that's going with some starter course and everything. Are you, from the sprint car perspective alone, are there other things on the docket maybe a stock engine type car or something that you're working on? What's out there beyond the 410 world that we all know and love?
Well, obviously the 410 world is the pinnacle, and it's really the top of a pyramid, and you have to have the bottom of the pyramid for the top to be held up. So, we've been watching. You guys know I've raced cars. I was in the second year of the Race Saver program in Texas, and watched that grow and develop, and we were really struggling with how that was integrating into what we were doing on a weekly basis. And over the last couple of years, Larry Kemp has been a huge, huge proponent of a different approach to sprint car racing. Now, it's not that different from what we did with the New York Modified Sportsman program 10 years ago, and really had laid the groundwork on how to do that with a spec engine. And it was a difficult decision to make, but we finally moved forward that program, the Pro Sprint car for dirt car. And I'm actually really, really excited about it because effectively, you're going to be able to go to one place, buy a motor, from filter to pan, go racing for about $8,200 for the motor, and then put it in a used car, no titanium in it, a real strict rules package, a little smaller wing if you want a weight brake, some hard modified tires, late model tire. I've been talking about, we took this back to, we wrote a rule book once. I want to write and Tom and Larry and the guys at Plymouth and Randy Hannigan did the testing on the car, and people will, it's a 602, it's a steel crate motor, and spec all the way through to the yoke, and you can walk out the door ready to go racing for about $8,300. And these cars dyno better after the 40th race than they do after the first race. I mean, it's just incredible what they do. And to give you guys some perspective, we started that class 7 or 8 years ago, full on. We converted it from a build your motor to a crate motor. We had 93 of those cars show up at Syracuse to race on the mile with a 2,450-pound race car. So the idea that this 602 cannot push a sprint car is absolutely absurd. So I'm excited about that because I see that in 3 or 4 years becoming a very viable weekly program for sprint cars and an ability to create a secondary market and really create weekly racing at a lot more local tracks than they are now.
And it's funny because I roll my eyes when I hear of new divisions, and Kendra and I have talked about this because it used to be sprint cars, and then we go on 350, 360, Race Saver, whatever it is. And I honestly, and I was standing in the pits at Ush Weekend with some folks up there, and they announced a 602 program, very comparable, I believe it is, to what you guys are talking about. And I said to one of the teams up there, I said, the last thing in the world we need is another stinking program. Let's go. And he says, wait a minute. He said, do you realize how many 602 engines are sitting in barns within 100 miles of here? I said, no, I don't have the slightest idea. He said, we had 602 modifieds, which we no longer have. We had 602 late models, which we no longer have. He says, I think there's 80 602 engines sitting within 100 miles of this racetrack, and we want them in sprint cars. These guys have the engines, just buy it, as you say, buy a used frame, and we want them in sprint cars because then they'll be running the Ush Weekend 360 program, and then maybe they'll even jump up. So to me, it's like it's frustrating to see all these divisions, but it's a challenge. How do we get new people involved? Because the kid on the street's not going and buying a full-blown 410 either to get started off with that budget either.
No, they're not, and they really don't belong there yet.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, these cars go pretty darn fast.
Good point.
It's really, it's something that's going to bear fruit this year. I think it's going to bear fruit this year. We've already got 2 racetracks signed up for it. They already know what these crate motors, they're going to be run on methanol. We're not going to have to change a bunch of the other stuff on the race car, and we're going with the cheap tires you can get everywhere else. With our modified programs and late model programs, and one spec little small right rear for the sprint car, and it's going to be something I'm going to keep an eye out, because I think in 5 or 6 years on this event, when we're talking on Tuesday after World Finals 5 years from now, we're going to be talking about how that class has grown.
Certain guys have graduated. Certain guys are showing up with that class, but certain guys are graduating to what we see. That's cool. Very exciting. We need to step away. We'll be back with more with Brian Carter in just a moment. Stay with us, everyone.
Hi, this is Sam Haferteep. You're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa. Your destination for sprint car history. Check out the Salute to Champion Doug Wolfgang exhibit featuring 5 of Doug's sprint cars, all 5 of his winning Knoxville Nationals trophies, as well as helmets, uniforms, and other Wolfgang memorabilia. Also check out Damian Gardner's world's fastest sprint car that the Demon drove at 211 miles per hour at Bonneville. Open 7 days a week all year in the sprint car capital of the world, Knoxville, Iowa. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum.
I'm Kerry Madsen. Now back to Wing Nation with Steve and Kendra.
Welcome back. We are having a great time here on Wing Nation. So glad you joined us here on MRN.com, watching the video stream. Of course, following along on Twitter at Wing Nation. We'll get back to some of those questions as the show continues to unfold. But Brian Carter is joining us. Brian, we talk and face it, we're Wing Nation, but here on MRN we also introduce Sling and Dirt with the Stremmies. And they do more of the modified, the UMP-style modified, and the late model stuff. Overall health of World Racing Group, Super Dirt Car Series, World of Outlaw Late Models, how was your year there?
We had a good year. Rain got us 2 in June and July. I think I counted up 26 shows in just June and July. We rained out, but it's extraordinary. It was another great year, and our year is really becoming defined by events. Mm-hmm. It's the creation of the event in Florida, kicking off the season. It's running across, doing a historical event at Devil's Bowl. It's going and racing with NASCAR there the weekend in Vegas. And then you start talking about the Month of Money and the Kings Royal and the National Open and the Nationals and Don Martin. Super Dirt Week was incredible. And then the World Finals. So it's really just, it's once a month we're hitting things really hard. And it's a lot of fun to watch it. And we really are, we're hitting on all 8 cylinders right now.
How tough was Super Dirt Week? We know the story, and the story for those of you that are not following along, Syracuse, the Moody Mile has been there forever. They've been racing there since whenever.
1903.
1903, that's forever, yeah, exactly. And the state has decided to go in a different direction, tearing down the grandstand. And so the biggest modified race, the biggest Super Dirt Car Series modified race, this was the last year of it. How weird was that weekend? How surreal was that weekend? But going forward, how optimistic are you as you guys work through the struggle to create the next Super Dirt Week? How are you doing?
Well, it was an emotional summer for us. We started this work against trying to save the Moody Mile back in the early part of the summer. It's been summers, the whole summer with politicians and consultants and the state. And so it was it was all emotions of grieving between the anger phase and the sad phase. And it was the good thing is that we have a future for Super Dirt Week. We have a program in place and where we're going to race, and we have a backup plan against that plan. So, all of that for Super Dirt Week 16 is pretty exciting. But when it hit me, but I was so angry coming into Super Dirt Week about what they were tearing down. And I'm not talking about grandstands. I'm talking about tearing down history and facility and memories. And you can't take all that away, but you can sure, make us think about how hard it is to not go back. And that really is what I started to realize beforehand, but really at the property, you go and you go, oh my God, I'm not going to get to see that again. Oh my gosh, that's the last time that's going to happen. And, what was really good for me there was that you could see how much of an impact Super Dirt Week has on people.
Yeah.
And it really is how, and that it was rewarding, and it was, and on top of that, I was angry and emotional and sad around seeing it go. But what we wanted to do from a racing group perspective, whatever we needed to do to make it over the top, we tried. So we had a party and bands, and we decorated the place up, and we had all of the past champions there that were living on property to sign autographs. You could have gotten every program cover picture signed you wanted, everybody from so we really wanted it to be a special going away. And I think we pulled that off. And when you look at the aerials from the event, we filled the property. It was 377 acres. I mean, think about that, full of everybody celebrating racing for a week. And, Mother Nature rained on us there too, got one day, but gave us an absolutely glorious weekend. And we were across the highway, we were up the hill, we had campers coming out of our ears, and everybody had a great time. And that was really, for me, that was the capstone for the year for us, and being able to pull that off in a way to where I believe we didn't give anybody a reason to not try the first one at the next facility, and that was another one of our goals,
Sure.
and I think we pulled that off, and it was just one of those weekends I'll never forget.
Well, along those lines, going back to the Twitter, we got Kenny Wallace chimed in, and he says, I don't have a question, but please tell Brian thank you to the World of Outlaws and everyone at Dirt Car Series for all the divisions you guys host and for giving racers places to race. So it's got to feel pretty good to have someone like Kenny Wallace. You see guys like Tony, Casey, Kyle Larson come back in and be a part of what you're doing and really be extremely complimentary of what you and your staff have accomplished.
Yeah, Kenny really understands. Those guys all understand how hard it is and the balance, and we're really walking the line trying to get everything to work out. And he sincerely appreciates it, and that really does make you want to work harder to make it better. And that's really what we're trying to do, is make it better as best we can for everybody who's participating, who's coming out to the event. And sometimes they don't all see all of the dynamics of what we're dealing with. But at the end of the day, like Syracuse and like World Finals, hey, we got that done into as much adversity as we can imagine, and that really does, you feel like you're meaningful to people, and that's important to me.
We have a question from Daniel. Will the World of Outlaws ever be at the Terre Haute Action Track again?
Well, we're trying. That Terre Haute track is a lot of fun to watch the racers. They go pretty fast around that joint. They're always in the discussion for the schedule, and I don't believe it. I haven't. I've got 90 dates in here. I know I've looked at it, but they're always in the discussion. So we never rule that out, but we'll have to take a look at it.
Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah. I'm not sure they're there this year, but they're always in the discussion. So
yeah,
I've seen a few races there. Pretty exciting.
Well, speaking of next year, and our time's winding down, so let's get to the good stuff. From a fan's perspective, what are they going to see next year, if anything, that's a major change?
We're not making major changes. We're steady at it.
That's great.
We're steady at it. No, from a fan's perspective, the springtime schedule is already set. It's already been released. They can renew those tickets through November the 16th. We did get a chance to move our event in Las Vegas from a Wednesday, Thursday to a Thursday, Friday. So you can make more of a weekend out of it. You can. We'll probably, the fans get there with the NASCAR schedules being compressed. They don't get there quite as early as they used to. So I think we'll be better for the fans, and maybe compress their trips to come out and see us on Thursday and Friday. That's big. I already mentioned the big Knoxville race. The weekend, we're back in there for 2 days in June, try to rebuild a destination for Knoxville in June. From a series perspective, we're going to this year. I'm not sure if you were watching close, you could see we were playing with the format a little bit to get the format racing, and really about creating fair opportunities for the racers and putting on the best show we can for the race fans. So we'll continue to tweak that. We've got buy-in from all of our full-time teams that will be modifying that program during the early part of the year and kind of tweaking it to see if we can make the race program on the track a little better for the race fans and a little fair, a little more opportunities for the racers. So we're going to do that early in the season. And other than that, we move the World Finals up a couple weekends, buy us a couple degrees in the almanac. We'll be before Halloween, but that was already in place. I think. We just wanted to see if we could move that forward and really kind of shorten the schedule up a little bit, shorten the season up, and I think that'll be good for us all. So you'll see that. So if you got World Finals tickets, it's 27th through the 29th next year of October. So that's exciting. And a lot of that, it's a lot of steady progress on every other front.
You talk about these destination events and events that go on around the racetrack. How are you guys doing with that, with whether it's bands or concerts or, we did a show over at the World Finals, different things. How are you working with the tracks on those for these big events to mean it so you come and you camp and you got something to do most of the time during the day?
That's correct, and really want it to be that way and have fun for the racers and for the fans. It's really different. We talk about adding Cedar Lake in last year, and we talk about adding in Knoxville this year and moving the Vegas one to where it's really more of a weekend kind of an event.
Sure.
And Devil's Bowl. They all have a different personality, and that's really the unique. I really like it because you can't do the same thing in Texas and do it in Pennsylvania and do it in Ohio and then do it over in Wisconsin. You just can't do it all the same because that's not what your fans have created something special for them there. And that's what you have to continue to, you can introduce new ideas, but it kind of has a mind of its own. So, we'll have the big, Devil's Bowl was a great one where we had the autographs and the reunion and the old, we bring in the historic cars. California, Calistoga was incredible weekend there of just coming out and enjoying the beautiful country and some great racing. That's become an event. Chico's getting a little bit more in the fall, and our Labor Day is getting a little more traction again about growing back to where it was. Just little by little, each of those pieces. And this year, the additional weekend is at Knoxville. So pretty excited about that. There'll be an opportunity, I think, if we can get the facilities sorted out at Super Dirt Week to maybe bring the sprint cars into the facility proper as opposed to, so we'll have to see how that plays out.
Oh, that'd be good.
So maybe an opportunity to have a bigger weekend up there too. So we just have to kind of see how that plays out. So, but that'll be a big destination at a big arena and maybe interesting. So
that would be cool. That would be cool. One of the little two-letter words or two-letter acronyms or whatever it is we talk about is TV. Any changes on the TV element of this? What are you guys looking at going forward?
Well, the model has changed so much over even the last 2 or 3 years. So, Dirt Vision is still our primary distribution. With CBS Sports, we have a great partnership with them. We did 3 shows. The dynamic is on our sponsors, they want access to the world's best fans, and they want to have access to them at the track.
At the track, right.
So, everybody knows how hard it is to portray this sport on TV.
Right.
You really, unless you're feeling the dirt hit you and you smell the methanol as they're burning it through and you're watching how fast they're going by you, it's just so hard to portray that on TV. So, when that's difficult, it also makes it more expensive to do it because you have to try harder. And, it's an expensive night to do TV. And our sponsors, like I said, are really focused on direct connection with our fans at the racetrack. And that's what you guys know how incredible our race fans are. They're absolutely extraordinary people. They'll do whatever, they'll watch it, and it's a part of their lifestyle and a part of their family life. And that's what our sponsors want. They're really not pressing us anymore for media via terrestrial TV. It's just not part of the program. Now, as soon as we get a little more, the title sponsor might change that a little bit, but even with the title sponsors for next year, they're really not pressing us against a broadcast media package. They want their products in our fans' hands, and they want to see how it portrays. So I don't see a radical change. We do probably have a little, maybe have an opportunity to do some in the spring. This year we're just doing it all in the fall.
Yeah, cool. Hang in there with us. A little bit more with Brian Carter, and we'll wrap it up in just a moment. Stay with us, everyone. It's Wing Nation on MRN.com.
This is Paul McMahon, and you're listening to Steve Post and Kendra Jacobs on Wing Nation.
Hi, I'm NASCAR driver Jeff Gordon. Did you know that 43 children are diagnosed with cancer each and every day? That more children die from cancer than any other disease. Athletes of all ages are dedicating their stats to change these stats, and you can too. Visit JeffGordonChildren'sFoundation.org to become a Kick It champion. No matter what your sport, you can use your points, laps, or goals to change the odds for kids with cancer. Make your stats really count. Become a Kick It champion.
O'Reilly.
If it's time to replace your vehicle's headlights, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts See Better, Drive Safer sale for a twin pack of Sylvania Silver Star Ultra headlights and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. See better with Silver Star headlights at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Rico Abreu, and now back to you, Wing Nation, with Steve and Kendra.
Want to try that one more time?
Yeah. I'm Rico Abreu, and you're... hold on. I'm Rico Abreu, and you're... God, I keep reading the top one. I'm Rico Abreu, now back to Wing Nation, Steve and Kendra. I'll do it again. I'm Rico Abreu, now back to Wing Nation with Steve and Kendra.
Thank you, Rico. No, that doesn't. That's always
on.
great. We've heard that 100 times, it seems like, and it's still always funny. We're always laughing about it. Kendra, our Jeff Gordon Kick It Driver of the Week. What do we have?
Yeah, this is a really cool one. It's a Midwest driver named Jonathan Cornell is our Kick It Driver of the Week.
Yeah.
He worked with the local school system. The school system is really trying to keep kids reading, and they noticed a fall off of that during the summer. So they rewarded kids with ways to get involved in the community each 9 weeks of the school. And this year was Jonathan Cornell, and he took a sprint car to the school. All the kids that had kept their reading hours up got to hang out with him, climb in and out of the race car, get to know more about sprint car racing. And that was like a reward for kids that are really putting an emphasis on education, and Jonathan helped the school system out with that, which is exactly what we say our drivers need to be doing and reward them for
Get out there in the community.
Getting out there and doing more beyond at track and winning races.
Tip of the cap to Jonathan Cornell, our National Sprint Car Hall of Fame calendar as far as birthdays. Todd Schaefer on Sunday. J.W. Hunt on Sunday. Today, Art Birch, Johnny Hannon, Granville, Buster Walker, that is. Ben Gregg, a birthday tomorrow. Brad Furr and Alan Crow on Thursday. Tommy Milton and Joe Saldana on Saturday. Just highlighting real quick, J.W. Hunt, a 1996 inductee. He made money, Kendra, in the strawberry processing business. Went NASCAR racing, and you know what happened to him? He fell in love with sprint car racing somewhere along the way. Supported Jack Hewitt, Brent Kading, and Jack Hodenshield. Huge bonuses. He'd show up when one of his guys would win. The pole, $1,000. Give him that. So J.W. Hunt, tragically, passed away in 1994. You can catch J.W.'s stories and everyone else's story at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, turn number 2 in Knoxville at sprintcarhof.com.
I remember when every driver had the strawberry J.W. Hunt patch on their uniforms.
Really,
every one
really
of them.
Cool. Well, Brian, as we wrap it up here for you, is there anything we missed? Is anything that we go? PRI is when schedules come out? Is that the game plan?
That's right. We'll be releasing our preliminary schedules at PRI. The teams already have them. They're making their plans. It's 2015 was a lot of work at the end, but really rewarding at the when you look at the whole season. And I'm really, really excited about what we have going for 2016.
You should be. It's very, very cool.
And we ask all of our drivers at the end of the year, now, how do you enjoy the off season? Do you actually take a break? Same goes for you and your staff. Do you guys ever get a break?
My wife was kidding me. I told her I'd take off Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this week, and we had a banquet yesterday, and I'm on your show today. So I'm going to go see a high school state playoff soccer game with my son tomorrow. So
awesome.
I'm going to do
that.
Cool. I do a little snowboarding. I'm going to sit on the beach for a day, even if it's cold. I'm going to put my sweatshirt on and stare at the sun. So somewhere along the way, I got reminded today we have to order our PRI T-shirts, all of our stuff. So in 2 weeks we got to go to PRI. It's outstanding. It's outstanding.
There's your off season for you.
Yeah, there it is, guys.
Brian, as always, a pleasure hanging out with you. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, guys.
Racing still going on though. Susquehanna Speedway Park, the final showdown, $10,000 to win on Saturday afternoon. The final 410 race in America. USCS, our friend Pete Walton. They have Friday and Saturday night racing at Riverside International Speedway in West Memphis, Arkansas, 5,100 to win. And I know we don't talk about these guys a lot, but one of the guys grabbed me, Carolina Race Saver. They are actually racing at Sumter, South Carolina Speedway, Saturday night, $800 to win. That's our local guys. Brian, I actually raced with them. That's our local guys, and continuing to build the sport. They have an $800 to win show in Sumter, South Carolina. And Kendra, with that, that's going to wrap it up for Wing Nation for this year.
No, Steve, it's hard to believe. 45 episodes on MRN.com and the MRN app this year, and we're wrapping up another season.
What a season it was for sprint car racing, from the year of Donnie Schatz to the changes with the National Sprint League to the All-Stars to continued success from MOA, IRA, King of the West Series, Central Pennsylvania, Ohio. Man, I'm just like Brian, just sharing that optimism. I think we're really on a roll here with this.
We are, and a huge thank you this year to MAV TV for taking a chance on us here at MRN, on you and me, Steve, putting us on the air. Love doing that. Love seeing the fans' reaction to the show on Saturday mornings, and we have one more of those left.
One more of those left this week where, oh boy, you got to tune into this one. Donnie Schatz and Ricky Warner join us this week. We'll also have Lance DeWeese on our weekend preview show, presented by Hefner Racing Products. We need to thank our sponsors, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, Classic Ink Screen Printing and Embroidery, Valco Racing Wheels, Lucas Oil, ASCS National Tour, the Jeff Gordon Foundation with their Kick It program, Hercules Tires, HRP Racing Products for all their support of Wing Nation. Thanks to David Hyatt and everyone here at MRN. Thanks to our producer, Craig Moore, who does a great job, and Pat Berger on the video side, coming on board this year, getting indoctrinated into sprint car racing, and oh, by the way, falling in love with sprint car racing along the way. Over at MAV TV, Bob Pattison and his crew. But more important, and all that, Kendra, I know you and I, we think about this. We talk about it all the time. The interaction we have, the sprint car fans, none of this would happen without the sprint car fans.
We could be sitting here talking every week, Steve, but it'd be pretty pointless if no one was listening.
So we're fortunate. We have great fans, and we'll be following along. We're not going away on Twitter and Facebook. We'll be there all along. And then, Kendra, all of our drivers, we put cameras in their face nowadays. Yeah. We call them up at the god-awful hour. They come on here. Paul McMahon, we bust his chops wherever airport he's in. Our drivers and crews also, we love those guys to death.
They're incredible, and I'm so thankful for them.
No doubt. So that is going to wrap it up for Wing Nation this year. Thanks for joining us here on MRN.com.
You've been listening to the nation's premier winged sprint car radio program, Winged Nation. Tune in next Tuesday at noon for more talk from the dirt tracks. Winged Nation is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.